Imagine waking up in a sea of clouds, face to face with an angel, only to be told, yep, you died. But hey, no worries, because now you get to start over in a magical world with elemental powers. No hero mission, no prophecy, just vibes. That's exactly what happens to Rio, an average guy given a second shot at life. Except his simple wish for peace? Yeah, that gets complicated real fast. This is the story of a laid-back water mage who accidentally becomes an S-rank powerhouse. Rio regains consciousness in a dreamlike place, surrounded by clouds, standing before a serene angel named Michael. With a calm voice, Michael drops the news: Rio recently died. The cause? The all-too-familiar isekai special, Truck Kun. But instead of heading to the afterlife, Rio's soul is being rerouted to a different world. The kicker? He won't have to save anyone. There's no demon lord, no ancient evil threatening the world. Michael simply tells him, live how you want. Rio smiles. All he wants is peace, a quiet, carefree life in the countryside. No stress, no chaos, just a place to relax and maybe grow a few plants. Michael agrees and even sets him up with a starter pack, a small house, food for 2 months, beginner's guidebooks, and a protective barrier to keep monsters away. The new world is called Fee, where about 20% of people can manipulate elemental magic based on their natural affinity. Rio? He's got water. Rio awakens in his new home, a quaint wooden cottage nestled in the middle of a peaceful glade. The walls hum with enchantments, and the gentle breeze carries the scent of untouched nature. It's quiet, serene, just as he hoped. But more than anything, Rio is curious, eager to see if magic, something he had only read about in fantasy novels, is truly real. He steps outside, focuses his thoughts, and says the first spell that comes to mind. Water, water, come forth. Instantly, a sphere of water materializes in his palm, glimmering like liquid crystal. Shocked and delighted, Rio laughs, but then he wonders, what happens if he doesn't speak the incantation? He tries again, this time simply visualizing the water. With just a thought, the same sphere forms. No words needed. It clicks. Magic in this world isn't bound by rigid rules. It's fueled by will, by imagination, and that realization changes everything. His first instinct, use it to fill the bathtub. He conjures several spheres and dumps them into the wooden tub, but excitement quickly fades. The water is freezing. He needs heat, but he only controls water. Determined to solve the problem, Rio experiments. He tries to build a fire the old-fashioned way, rubbing sticks together, using rocks, even trying to replicate what he's seen on survival shows. Everything fails. Frustrated, he lays on the grass, staring at the sun. That's when the idea hits. He freezes water into a thin lens, focusing the sunlight through it like a magnifying glass. It takes patience, trial, and lots of squinting, but eventually a spark catches. Rio shouts with joy. He did it. Not with fire magic, but through clever manipulation of his own affinity. Hours later, as he soaks in a steaming bath, muscles relaxed and mind buzzing with possibilities, Rio feels the thrill of success. He's barely scratched the surface, and already magic feels limitless. The next few days are filled with intense trial and error. Rio becomes obsessed with pushing his magic further. He understands that freezing water involves pulling heat out of it, so logically the reverse must be possible, adding heat to warm it. At first, it's slow progress. He boils water by compacting it under pressure, but it either freezes from overfocus or evaporates entirely. The balance is delicate. He starts with small bowls, then cups, then tries to maintain steady warmth. After nearly boiling his fingers twice, he finally figures out the trick: emotional control. Calm thoughts yield steady warmth. Panic or anger make the water spike or freeze. Eventually, he perfects the technique to create lukewarm, then comfortably warm, then precisely heated water for cooking and bathing. It's not flashy, but it's foundational. In a world where magic is a daily tool, mastery of the basics is just as powerful as fireballs. He also notices something else. Each time he uses magic, a subtle fatigue creeps in, a drain on his stamina. He's learning not just about spells, but about mana itself, its limits, its flow, and how to regenerate it through rest and meditation. By the end of the week, he no longer worries about making a fire. Warm baths? Easy. Boiling water? Simple. Ryo has learned to manipulate temperature with precision, and with that foundation, he's ready for the next step. With survival basics covered, Ryo turns his attention to something more urgent: defense. His food supply won't last forever, and his only weapon is a knife. If he's going to venture into the forest, he needs real combat magic. His first attempts are basic. He throws water balls at trees. It works, barely. They splatter harmlessly, useless against even the weakest monster. So he revisits the concept of pressure. He focuses his energy into compressing the water, trying to turn it into a piercing jet. It's tough. His first jets look like a squirt gun, but he remembers what Michael said: clear mental imagery strengthens spells. He meditates, visualizing fire hoses, cannons, cutting lasers. Slowly, his jets become more focused, slicing through bark and even chipping at stone. His magic isn't just stronger, it's efficient. Every day, he trains from dawn to dusk. His arms ache, his mana runs dry, but progress is visible. He discovers new tricks, turning water to mist, using steam to distract, and freezing jets into sharp ice needles mid-flight. By the end of the second week, Ryo has a basic arsenal. Not flashy, not perfect, but deadly enough for real fights. With his food supplies dwindling, Ryo finally enters the forest. It's a dense, primal place, alive with rustling leaves and distant roars. Cautiously, he tracks footprints to a riverbank, collecting useful items: quartz for fire starting, herbs for detoxification. But then, a low growl. Turning slowly, Ryo sees it. A boar. Massive, muscular, its eyes bloodshot. A lesser boar, according to his guidebook. The weakest monster in the forest, but still deadly. The beast charges. Ryo's instincts scream at him to run, but he stands his ground. At the last second, he rolls to the side, barely dodging the tusks. Panic claws at his chest, but training kicks in. He conjures a sheet of ice beneath the boar's hooves. It slips, crashing hard. Wasting no time, Ryo launches a row of ice spikes. The boar shrieks, impaled. It thrashes once, then lies still. Breathing heavily, Ryo approaches, checking the guidebook. The boar is indeed weak. If this was the easiest monster, what else lies deeper? He butchers the meat, stores it safely, and reflects. The fear, the rush, the satisfaction. He survived. He won. Back home, Ryo examines the monster guide more thoroughly. The latter pages are terrifying. One entry describes dragons, ancient beasts with near limitless power. They breathe elemental devastation and can raze cities in minutes. Another entry, more cryptic, simply reads: Akuma, fallen angels, unknown threat level, do not engage. There are no illustrations, just a final warning. If encountered, you are already dead. It sends a chill down his spine, but Ryo has no time to worry. The next day, while foraging, a sudden gust throws him off balance. A shadow streaks above. Then, pain. A razor-thin wind slash grazes his arm. He looks up. An assassin hawk, agile, intelligent, and deadly. It attacks again, wings slicing through the air like blades. Ryo barely forms a shield in time. He runs. Spells fly. Ice crashes against wind. Eventually, he blinds the hawk in one eye with a lucky strike. It screeches and retreats. But before vanishing, it locks eyes with him. Cold, vengeful, it will return. Days later, lost in the woods while fleeing the hawk, Ryo stumbles upon a glowing lake. There, standing silently, is a headless knight, a Dullahan. It doesn't attack. Instead, it raises its sword. They clash, not with rage, but like training partners. The Dullahan tests him over and over. It never speaks, never relents. Every night, Ryo returns, and every night he loses. But each time he lasts a little longer, blocks a little better, hits a little harder. One night, the Dullahan extends its blade, channeling water magic. Ryo is stunned. He never imagined someone else with the same affinity. Without a word, the Dullahan hands him its blade. A gift, a challenge, a lesson. Ryo accepts. He now carries more than just spells. He carries legacy, and he's only getting started. Weeks pass. Ryo's training with the Dullahan strengthens his body, sharpens his instincts, and elevates his ice magic to a new level. He now wields the water-forged blade with precision and resolve. Every night, their silent duels carve away his weaknesses, leaving behind only raw potential. But peace doesn't last. While out gathering herbs one afternoon, a shadow returns to the sky. A familiar screech pierces the forest. It's the assassin hawk, but changed. Larger, faster. Its feathers now shimmer pitch black. It had evolved. The Hawk's wind blades are sharper than ever, slicing through trees like paper. Ryo reacts on instinct, throwing up 5 layers of ice walls. They shatter instantly. The wind magic has leveled up. Dodging through the forest, Ryo launches volleys of ice spikes, but the Hawk dodges them with supernatural speed. Then it lets out a blood-curdling screech, a sonic magic attack that destabilizes Ryo's control. His ice shields flicker and vanish. Suddenly, the air crackles. A bolt of lightning fires from the Hawk's wings, hurtling straight at him. Ryo narrowly avoids it, grounding the charge with a wooden stick like a makeshift lightning rod. But the Hawk isn't done. It swoops in, claws glowing with elemental force. Ryo summons his blade, parrying desperately. They clash again and again. Every blow rattles his arms, but he sees an opening, a small gap in its aerial stance. He lunges. The ice blade cuts clean through its neck. The Hawk crashes to the earth, still twitching. Ryo approaches, heart heavy. He sees himself in the creature. Both of them trained, evolved, fought to be stronger, but only one survived. Before Ryo can catch his breath, a tremendous gust blows through the clearing. Trees bend, the sky darkens, a dragon lands, massive, majestic, terrifying. Ryo remembers the guidebook's warning: if you see a dragon, it's already too late. Frozen in place, he braces for death. But then a voice enters his mind, calm, ancient. The dragon speaks via telepathy. It isn't here to fight. It's searching for a black hawk that passed through recently. Ryo swallows hard and admits the truth. The hawk attacked him and he had no choice. The dragon pauses, surprised that a human defeated such a creature, but it isn't angry. Instead, it focuses on the blade Ryo carries. The dragon's eyes widen. That sword, it's the Fairy King's blade, a weapon not seen in millennia. For the Fairy King to entrust it to a mortal, Ryo must be special. They talk for hours, the dragon curious about Ryo's journey, Ryo eager to learn more about the world. It becomes clear, Ryo is on a path far greater than he imagined, but eventually the dragon must leave. With a gentle farewell, it takes to the skies. Ryo, standing alone beneath the stars, feels the weight of destiny settle on his shoulders. Far above, in the celestial plane, Michael flips through Ryo's reincarnation records. He yawns, scanning the standard notes: death by truck, chosen element, peaceful life request. Then he stops, eyes wide. A hidden trait. Michael rereads it twice. Eternal youth. He hasn't seen this trait in over 10,000 years. It's rare, powerful, world-changing. Michael leans back in his chair, thoughtful. Looks like things might get interesting again. Ryo's story began as a peaceful escape, a chance at simplicity, but the world of Fee had other plans. From mastering magic to surviving battles, forming bonds with legendary beings to inheriting ancient relics, he's become something far more. A simple water mage? Not anymore. He's walking the path of legends now. If you want to see what comes next, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this adventure, it's only just beginning. Ryu's life had slowly started to settle. He was getting used to the quiet, the rhythm of the forest, and the freedom of his isolated world. But even in this serene existence, hunger strikes in unexpected ways. One day, he starts craving seafood, a strange longing that pulls him toward the beach like an instinct. What he finds isn't fish or shells or anything he expected. Instead, a broken, battered ship lies wrecked along the shore, waves crashing against its torn hull. The sight sends a shiver down his spine. It's the first real sign of civilization or destruction he's seen since arriving. Among the scattered wreckage, he finds a lifeless man, cold, still. But just as despair sets in, a faint groan breaks the silence. Another man, barely conscious, lies nearby. He's wounded, trembling, but alive. Rayu rushes to help. This man, who later introduces himself as Abel, is the first human Rayu has seen since his reincarnation. His eyes flash with something Rayu hasn't felt in a long time: connection. Abel mumbles about a storm, a monster, a massive writhing octopus tearing through their ship before everything went black. When he finally wakes again, he's safe inside Ryu's house, dry and alive, but with no idea how he got there. His first words are filled with disbelief, awe, and confusion. Once outside, Abel starts piecing things together. He's confused. This place, it's peaceful, quiet, untouched, but completely unfamiliar. And then Rayu appears again, suddenly and silently, without making a sound. Abel is a trained warrior. He's used to sensing threats, picking up the faintest noises, but Rayu, it's like he defies all logic. No footsteps, no presence, just appears. Even more puzzling is Rayu's outfit, a simple, tattered robe that looks more like a blanket. Abel holds his tongue, not wanting to offend the person who saved him. Over a meal, the curiosity boils over. Abel finally asks, "Don't you have anything else to wear?" Rayu shrugs. "I don't, and there's no fabric around here to make new clothes." Abel suggests buying some, only to learn that Rayu has never even seen money. Wait, what? Abel's jaw nearly hits the table. He thought Rayu was just poor. But this is something else. He's not just broke, he's completely disconnected from society. Rayu softens the moment. He explains that there are no humans living nearby, just him. He's been surviving off the land, hunting, training, and most impressively, using magic. He demonstrates conjuring water with a flick of his hand, forming icy blades with casual ease. Abel watches in stunned silence. Most people can't use magic, and even among the few who can, no one casts spells this effortlessly. No chance, no staff, just willpower and precision. After their meal, Abel sits in silence, trying to make sense of it all. Then he speaks. "I don't know where I am. The storm threw the ship south and I can't find the direction back to the city. But you seem to know these lands." Rayu doesn't answer right away. His gaze is fixed outside, toward the garden he spent weeks building. It's simple, but full of life. It represents comfort, stability, solitude. Abel continues, "Come with me. I'll help you find a job. A real home. You don't need to live like this forever." Rayu pauses. Deep down, he knows this moment was inevitable. The world was never going to let him remain hidden forever. That night, under a silver moon, he visits the lake. The water glows, and the headless knight stands silently, waiting. No words are exchanged, just the clash of blades. Rayu fights with all he's learned. Their duel is fierce, emotional, like a final exam before graduation. When it ends, the knight, still silent, returns to the lake. But before disappearing, he turns, raises a hand, and from the depths of the water summons a glowing suit of armor, a gift, a farewell. Rayu bows in gratitude for everything. The next morning, Rayu and Abel begin their journey. For Rayu, every tree, every path, every rustling branch holds a memory, but he buries that nostalgia deep. Soon they're greeted by a wild boar. Abel grins, sword drawn. "Let me handle this." With a fluid motion, he charges forward and uses a technique that makes Rayu's eyes widen. The boar is sliced clean through, a perfect circle missing from its body. Rayu is dumbfounded. "What was that?" "Combat skill," Abel replies. "Everyone who fights with weapons develops unique techniques. Magic isn't the only path." They camp inside a hollow tree that night, sharing stories. For the first time, Rayu hears about kingdoms, politics, borders. The world he's never known starts taking shape. But the real surprise comes the next day. While passing through a swamp, they spot lizardmen. Strong, dangerous, territorial. Abel tries to avoid them. They take a detour, but Rayu senses it. The lizardmen are following. Abel draws his sword, ready to protect them, but Rayu steps forward. He raises his hand, and in an instant, 4 deadly icicle lances pierce through the swamp mist, dropping the enemies before they can react. Abel's mouth hangs open. "You cast 4 at once, without a staff." Rayu looks confused. "That's not normal? Remember, my wind mage friends can't even do 2, and they need full chance." Rayu just shrugs again. Maybe water magic works differently? But even he is starting to realize something's off. Why does he feel so different? Further along, they wander into a clearing, and a massive stone golem rises from the ground. Then another and another. Abel strikes first, slicing deep into one, but it heals instantly. Rayu quickly creates a barrier to block incoming debris. It's not enough. Then he lifts his hand and forms a massive cube of ice in the sky. He drops it. Crack. Golem crushed. Abel stares in awe. Rayu repeats the spell, squashing more golems like bugs. They find a rare golem with a magical core. Abel pockets it. Rayu wants more, but decides against melting the ice. "Too much work," he says casually. Abel doesn't press, but he's definitely thinking, this guy is hiding something. They push forward and stumble into chaos. A massive creature, half hippo, half croc, blocks the path. "A behemoth," Abel whispers. "Extremely rare, extremely dangerous." Before they decide what to do, wyverns appear, winged beasts with deadly magic. A fight erupts between the monsters. The behemoth lets out a roar, and every magical attack just fizzles into nothing. Rayu's eyes gleam. "That's magic cancellation," Abel confirms. But here's the kicker. He's only ever heard of dungeon traps doing that, which means there's a dungeon, Rayu asks. Yes, in London, Ryu's mad. You didn't think to mention that? Wasn't sure if we'd survive this long? They laugh. Tension slowly lifting, but the curiosity in Rayu is burning hotter than ever. A few days pass. Abel teaches Rayu about coins, economies, and nations. Rayu mocks the Debbie Empire name like a child hearing something ridiculous. But as they joke, a rock shifts again. Another ambush, more golems. Rayu and Abel work together, slicing, freezing, shielding. Ryu's magic is smooth, precise, terrifyingly powerful. They barely finish catching their breath when they stumble onto a nest of wyverns, just like the ones from the behemoth fight. Abel says it takes 20 trained adventurers to face even one. Rayu steps forward. What if they couldn't fly? He casts a fake chant just for drama and impales their wings with icicles. Abel slaughters them, then 2 more appear. This time, Rayu doesn't even chant, just gestures, and it's done. Abel is silent, watching, thinking. That night, they rest beneath a starry sky. Abel, staring into the fire, asks a question. Where did you learn magic like that? Rayu stays quiet, then he finally speaks. I met someone, a dragon. He told me things beyond human comprehension. Abel blinks. A dragon? Rayu just nods, and suddenly everything makes sense, and makes nothing make sense at all. They press forward. Mountains loom in the distance. Abel points out how monsters like behemoths and griffins haven't appeared near humans in 100 years. Maybe the mountains kept them back. Rayu's mind races, but the wyverns flew in from the north. Abel looks at him. You think their nest is there? Rayu nods. Let's find out. And with that, the two vanish into the wilderness. One warrior chasing his lost world, the other a mystery even to himself. Rayu's journey is no longer his own. The world is changing, and he's right at the heart of it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for what comes next.